or glaze over the mistakes of 1916. I am not here to attempt to vindicate or idolise the event, but instead I will show you that to regret 1916 is to regret the foundation of this republic, to regret the history of our young state, and to regret everything that we've achieved. My learned friends, the opposition, they focused on the event itself and a negative legacy that has come about. But instead, I want to focus on the guiding principles that led the event and show how our nation was born. I would want to show, first of all, that this was a key part of the establishment of the Republic, which helped to define who we are today. I would state from the outset that I am no apologist for violence or revolutionary tactics without context. I am myself a constitutional nationalist, and I do follow the principles of O'Connell de Redmond and leaders like John Hughes. I do believe that it is wrong to regret it, because if we reject it, then we are rejecting a pivotal moment within our history. But we must commemorate, as this was an event that shaped our lives to this date, and it has brought us a legacy today with the principles that they fought for. I oppose this motion on three grounds. First of all, the historical context, as we try to understand, first of all, why the insurrection happened. Secondly, on the culture and history of our nation, why I'm trying to get across that this is our culture and our history, and it is not then to be used and abused by dissidents and try and portray it in a negative light. Third is the hand of history and in the ideals that this insurrection was able to give us as a fledgling nation, and these principles are still relevant today. First of all, I'd want to deal with outstanding points of rebuttal by the prop. And the first prop, I believe, was trying to bring 1916 into a modern context. I don't believe that's possible. As I will go on and set out later, the historic context of what happened has to be seen within that light, and we cannot just bring it in to the modern day. Jamie himself spoke about the hundreds that died in Dublin, which was completely, which was just terrible. But what we lack there is the context of World War II, where over 36,000 Irish people died, and indeed the shelling of Dublin as well. What I would say is, first, I'm going to look at the historical context, and we're going to then address the situation to see why and how nationalists then became radicalised so instantly. How did this insurrection come to happening? I remember reading Brian Murphy's biography of Patrick Pearse, and it depicts a moderate nationalist who was pushed to the extremes. But why was he pushed to the extremes? This is what we have to understand. We have to try and understand the historical context. By the formation of the Ulster Volunteers, which numbered 100,000 in total, Edward Cartonson's defiance of British authority, and Redmond's concession to the principle of partition. These were the issues that led these men, some nationalists, and the ensuing deaths in World War II, then to become more radical. I'd just like to point out then for the second point about 1916 being a cornerstone of our history, which reflects on our culture today.
Okay, if you could choose the best policy ever instigated by the Irish Free State, what would it be and why?
That's no problem. I would say that the best policy brought in was through the proclamation and through the founding, that everybody within the state was treated equally, that no matter what minority there was, as set out in the proclamation by founded through 1916, okay? Through the proclamation, the founding states that these men in 1916 are different from the founding state, and they had a different vision for us, which we'll come to later. Some commentators have questioned why, up for 50 years, 1916 was a celebrated affair, and then after a sudden it began to dwindle. A recent commentator, which I was reading last night, discussed rigid revisionism when 1916 had gone too far. I just want to read this quick quote. That had gone too far, and that rebuke in 1916 left the independent Ireland with a dislocated sense of its own beginning. Rearing in the glorious myth of 1916, we recoiled from the prospect of losing it, and yet we seemed to have little choice in giving it up. Many of us were convinced that we needed to pull the historical rug from under the provisionals, and we therefore acquiesced in rewriting the past, and yet we were at the same time secretly traumatised by the loss of our inherited sense of where we had come from. Ladies and gentlemen, this event was a catalyst for the foundation of the state. It is not something that can be overlooked. Now, this article raises two questions. First of all, can we ignore and regret the beginning of the nation? And the second one is, how do we deal with distance today? It was raised by Jamie quite aptly. How can this legacy then filter down into distant Republicans? And I'll wager for mine. First, I think we should look then at our European neighbours, where countries like France and America celebrate their own revolutions. What happens here is in 18,000, 14,000 people were killed, but what they're actually celebrating is the principles behind it, those founding principles. What I can say is if we don't celebrate 1916, if we don't, commemorate 1916, and we regret it, what will happen is this legacy will be picked up. There will be a vacuum by dissident Republicans. This was used before in the 80s and 90s by a different group, and they were able to get support by glorifying this conflict. We have to commemorate this conflict, not regret it. We have to put it into a good balance of the good and the bad while commemorating the results that it came. In conclusion, John Redmond said, "Why should Ireland be treated as a geographical fragment of England? Ireland is not a geographical fragment, but a nation. And due to this catalyst, a nation was born." As Yeats wrote in his poem, 1916 is a terrible beauty, and that is true. It is a mixed bag. What I want to conclude with, if we regret 1916, we regret the establishment of this republic. If we regret 1916, we regret the history of this young state. And if we regret 1916, then we are regretting the ideals, the equality, the inclusivity, and the self-determination set out in the Irish Proclamation. And that's why we must oppose this motion.